Yes, hello folks, welcome to Beyond the Pitch. I'm Phil Brown, of course, delighted to be joined as always with the magnificent Martin Warwick on a different setting today. As we begin the first of a series of shows that it's not for everybody. Some people like them, some people don't. But without a doubt, the biggest questions that we get asked on through our platform is about transfers. And so rather than answer these 1,000 times over, we'll go through some of them here, not just stuff that we come up with, but stuff that other journalists come up with. We talk about what's being discussed in the English media, the foreign media, who could potentially go where, and stuff like that. Martin, first of all, mate, how's things?
Not bad, mate. Not bad at all. Yourself?
Not too bad. And it's Friday night in Los Angeles, right before we get ready for an absolute downpour out here. First of all, we'll start here. We will start in the English media before we get to the Spanish media. And we'll start with the Daily Mirror. Martin, I want to start with the story that was written by John Cross. John Cross, for anyone who doesn't know, is a very, very well-connected Arsenal journalist. Brilliant guy as well. John has talked about Alexis Sanchez going to leave Arsenal, with PSG and Juventus both heavily chasing his signature. We know the situation with Sanchez, Martin. Bizarrely, Arsenal have waited. The guy had 18 months left on his contract before you start negotiating. He's probably your best player, your biggest asset, yet they've lost control of this, and now he can leave in the summer for a knockdown price, and it looks like, Martin, he wants to go.
It certainly looks like that. The body language certainly says that he wants to be elsewhere. I just reading into this today. I read from a couple of different sources actually, and I was looking at his contract. With his contract running out in the summer of in 2018, so he's within pretty close to that 18 months left on his contract now. And I'm not sure what his wage is on now, but it's nowhere near the big earners. He's going to end up somewhere where he's going to be looking for a couple $100,000 a week, I would imagine. And you know, there's only a few clubs who are going to be able to pay those wages that he's looking for. But you know, transfer fee is going to be interesting now with him in that last 18 months of his contract. You know, you could probably get him 45-50 million, which seems a lot of money, but when you look at the current rates, wouldn't be a bad price for an outstanding talent, would it?
Martin, Arsenal bigger problems than just that. When you look at, John Cross was also writing in the Daily Mirror that Arsene Wenger will most likely leave the football club at the end of the season. That's a prevailing view amongst Arsenal and the people at the football club, that Wenger will leave at the end of the season, with the likes of Thomas Tuchel, Allegri, Benitez, Simeone being linked as potential replacements. Do you think this is the end for Arsene Wenger this summer?
I think it has to be. I mean, I am a fan of Arsene Wenger and what he's done for the football club, but the lack of success in so many years now and the constant failure in the Champions League, I mean, I don't see them sacking him, but I think it's going to come out as more of a mutual agreement. They're going to want him. They're going to have to force his hand. They're not willing to spend the money on the big players. He seems to have not evolved like Sir Alex kept reinvigorating and reinventing championship team after championship team. He had those when he had the great battles with Sir Alex, you know, mid-90s into the 2000s, but he's never evolved. The football club seems to be going backwards and perennial underachievers. It seems like they're quite satisfied finishing in the top four, getting in the Champions League, getting into the round of 16 and then tanking like they did again yesterday.
Well,
he can't get the best out of these big players. It seems like he's lost the knack of his man management with the current superstars of the game. I mean, he's got Ozil there and Sanchez. He can't handle them.
Folks, drop us a tweet live. You can tweet myself, Martin, myself at Malakans, the show at Beyond the Pitch, or Martin. If you've got any questions, got anything you want us to discuss, we'll do it for you live. We'll be getting ready to give away this sparkling gear pretty soon. So keep subscribing, folks, and we'll be giving away to your subscribers shortly. Martin, this is the big question that Arsenal now have to ask themselves. Where do you go from here? I was talking about this in my show with Danny Higginbotham, and we were discussing this. For me, there's only one man you can bring in. Thomas Tuchel has his own problems. Allegri's done a brilliant job at Juventus, but it has to be Simeone, because if you look at Arsenal's weaknesses, Martin, they're soft, right? Simeone gets his teams to play in the image of himself. He will come in, he's going to take Arsenal and get them to mirror himself. You see what Mourinho's done at United, where he's challenging every single player? Simeone will do that at Arsenal. And the other thing that he does is he competes on a lesser budget at Atletico Madrid than what he does with Real Madrid, Barcelona, and his big players want to stay and play for him. Has to be Simeone, surely.
Well, it's like I just said. I mean, Simeone does exactly what Wenger's failed to be able to do recently, and that's get the best out of his players. Simeone's players will run through a brick wall for me. He finds the absolute last percent out of every one of his players, and like you say, on a smaller. So that'd be a good shout, Simeone. I was reading other articles today. I was listening to a show earlier on, and somebody said, "What's his name at Bournemouth?" And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe. I mean, Eddie Howe, great manager, good young manager, but Arsenal will surely learn from the mistakes that United made.
Yep.
They won't make that same mistake. They're going to have to bring a big name in there that should really shake it up. They're going to have to change the style of football, and they're going to have to get something to get them over the edge. Fourth isn't good enough. Last 16 in the Champions League isn't good enough for London's biggest club.
All right, so it seems to be overwhelming view of the people that are connected at Arsenal that this will be Arsene Wenger's last season. And again, we've got the situation with Mesut Ozil and the situation with Alexis Sanchez. Who knows what's going to happen, but massive changes at that football club this summer. And you're quite right, Martin, when they see what happened with David Moyes at United, they must be petrified. The top four is no longer a guarantee. But it's not a guarantee anyway. When you look at the top managers in the English Premier League, never more than any time in the last 10 years is Arsenal's top four place being threatened. I just hope whatever happens, Arsenal fan TV keeps on going.
Well, you know what's incredible.
What is Farm and Blood?
Don't even get me started on that. What's incredible to me though is Arsenal board. They must take a massive portion of this blame, because how have they not prepared for this? They watched what happened at United, and when United didn't have a ready-made replacement, they've got Steve Bold in there as their number 2, and they surely don't see him taking over. So with Wenger coming to the end here, why have they not brought in somebody and starting molding him ready for that position? So that they take a lot of the blame for me too.
Agreed. But as we see with Stan Kroenke run football clubs, Martin, they're run strictly as a business.
It's a business.
And if I'm an Arsenal fan paying £100 in, I'm going to have a problem. Moving on, Martin, in the Sun, they're reporting that Eric Bailly has asked Jose Mourinho to go and sign a young midfielder, young Kessie from Atalanta. He's seen as the new Yaya Toure. He's playing exceptionally well for Yaya Toure, young Ivory Coast midfielder. It seems like Michael Carrick is going to leave the football club at the end of the season. What do you think? Well, what would you rate this one? You think there's a possibility that can happen?
Well, I mean, from what I was reading, there were scouts going to see him, but scouts from City, Chelsea have also been looking at him. I mean, will it happen? The chances, I don't know. But, I mean, it's another one when, along the lines when we talk about some of the other boys that United are looking at. It's that position that we need to fill. It's a position that's going to come up. There's talks, obviously, testimonial for Carrick at the end of the year. There's also reports today saying they're finally opening talks with Carrick over an extension. I presume United are going to give him a 1-year extension, but that doesn't change the fact that we need him. I think they will. I think they'll offer him another year. Whether he'll sign it or not, I think he'll be offered. I think he'll take it myself, but it still doesn't change anything for me. The fact that is a role that we need to fill in the football club. So, I mean, I don't know much about this kid at all.
Atalanta, I think we'd sell him at the right price. The other one, of course, in the Sun, Martin, was a story by John Hutchinson that wrote De Laurentiis is quite interested in Ibrahimovic. De Laurentiis done an interview where he said he'd absolutely love to sign Ibrahimovic. Now, if people remember Mark Hughes, who agreed his contract, never actually signed it, ended up leaving United. United are of the impression that Ibrahimovic has got an agreement that he's already played enough games where it's just a matter of automatically exercising the extension that keeps him there for another year. I know Ibrahimovic wasn't sure earlier on the season, around about October, whether he was going to stay at United. Still possibility he could leave the football club at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of both heard murmurings that MLS was an option for him to come over here, and I'm sure that'd be an attractive proposition for him in the last year or two of his career. I'm wondering whether he's had a change of heart, thinking, he's still scoring goals, another 3 today, proving that he can still
Although
score.
You're stretching it with a free kick to call that his goal. Like,
hey, it's given to him; they all count. But no, it's a strange one, that, and I don't know whether it was a games played or was it a goal scored that the clause in the contract. Because
I think it's games played.
Because I heard it was goal scored as well. Because he was asked about the amount of goals, and he said, "Yeah, I've already beaten it where I wanted to be." I see him being there another year. I think especially if we do, if United do get into the Champions League, I think he'd fancy another year at the top in the Champions League. And I wonder what will happen if we don't win the Champions League.
He stays for me because I don't think Mourinho wants to make any more than 4 or 5 changes this summer. Right. And I think he already knows who those 4 or 5 already are, Luke Shaw. The Sun has said Pedro is going to stay at Chelsea, had a change of heart. Last season, a story written by Jeff Sweet, last season said he wanted to leave the football club. Has now changed his mind, said under Conte he's playing some of the best football of his career. It's not like going back to Barcelona at the moment is an attractive option. Pedro is playing exceptionally well for Chelsea. Smart move for them to keep him another season, Martin?
Oh, absolutely. Conte's come in and certainly got the best out of him. He's got the best out of Victor Moses. He seems like he's got Diego Costa to turn around and sign the new deal. I don't see Pedro going out. And another one, where would Pedro go? I think Pedro will be one of them players if he was to go. It's like you said, Barcelona have got bigger issues. Barcelona need to revamp their entire midfield now. I think if Pedro were to go anywhere, it would be somewhere back east there in China or something and go for the big bucks. I see Pedro staying now that Costa's re-signed as well.
Just on that, I'm hearing from 1 or 2 agents who represent players that go to China that they're losing confidence that the players will ever actually see the money they're being offered. So some of the players that are going to China are saying maybe they'll get it for a year or 2, but I don't think Carlos Tevez actually expects to be paid 600 grand a week for the next 3 or 4 years. And what are you going to do? Take a Chinese club to court in China? I think not. Right. So
they already changed the rules a little bit, didn't they? They've already moved the goalposts a little bit and started putting a limit on the amount of the foreign imports coming in. So that's changing a little bit. So I mean, they can only have so much money to throw around. So
yeah. So maybe China isn't the attractive option everybody thinks it is. Martin, there was a story in the Spanish press that came from Javi. And it was quite bizarre because he was talking about Pep Guardiola and Jack Wilshere, saying that Pep Guardiola has admired Jack Wilshere going back to 2011 when Arsenal played Barcelona, saying that Pep Guardiola will move for Jack Wilshere this summer if he continues to prove his fitness. Given all the things that are going on at Arsenal, you could easily see this falling through the cracks where Wilshere ends up leaving. You think he could be a realistic target for City?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, he's still young enough. I think people forget how young he is. I mean, you expect him to be 28, 29 years old because he's kind of been on the scene for a little while. City's midfield is going to need some work. And I was reading not only Wilshere but L'Équipe. They've got the Man City targeting Thomas Lemar from Monaco, another 21-year-old midfield. If there's one thing City do like, I mean, they've got that young front three coming through now. But they've got an aging midfield, a little bit of age in the back. They've also Otamendi is also tipped to replace Pepe at Real Madrid. I mean, listen, I think he'd be looking to get rid of Otamendi, but Wilshere's the type of player I can see him getting, and it keeps their English quota as well.
I was going to say that,
which they struggle with. But I think if there's one area that they would be looking at, City is certainly going to be looking to strengthen at goalkeeper, whether they bring Joe Hart back. Or I clearly can't see Claudio.
No way he goes back.
No way. I mean, he's already lost his place They're going to need another defender because they've got Bakary Sanya's reported maybe to Everton. So midfield defence, I could see that. English court is going to be big for them too.
Yeah, almost like a Fabian Delph, Scott Sinclair type signing. Where but Jack Wilshere surely had. I was going to say he surely has to look at himself and say, "I'm not going to City to sit on the bench if we've just had a good season at Bournemouth. Surely, I'm still an England international. He would only be 26. His issues have been fitness and somewhat professionalism. Surely you would think Wilshere isn't going to want to go to City just to sit on City's bench. Martin, I don't think Jack Wilshere physically is up to playing every week with the intensity of a club like Man City.
Well, I mean, just look at Bournemouth. Bournemouth aren't exactly setting the world alight anymore. You know, they had a great start. They've been struggling recently, and Wilshere's been a part of it. So, is he ready to go back to a top club?
Well, we'll see. I want to pick up on something about Karim Benzema. Karim Benzema now has a better Champions League goal scoring record than Cristiano Ronaldo. This is the same striker that Arsene Wenger said Arsenal don't need. This is exactly the striker that Arsenal need. Karim Benzema, as we know, we all remember how United missed out on him. I think there's going to be massive changes at Real Madrid this summer. They're looking at Dybala very, very heavily. Dybala on his social media site, on Cristiano Ronaldo's Instagram, was liking the pictures of Real Madrid celebrating winning in the Champions League. Dybala said he'd rather go to Real Madrid and Barcelona if he was to leave Juventus. Benzema, we sniff for somebody, Martin?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He would be.
I'd bring it back for him.
I'll be honest with you, I liked him a couple of years ago. I thought he'd do well for United. I'll be honest with you. I think he's a really good number 9 and a really good forward for somebody who's going to have pacey wingers in a 4-3-3 perhaps and can get himself in the box and put in certain, as the record showed, the boy knows where the goal is. He'd be a good sniff for anybody in the Premier League, to be honest. Like you said, Arsenal is an ideal club. But are they going to pay the money for him? As regards Real Madrid, there is going to be big changes there. You would imagine either Dybala or Aubameyang.
Big Aubameyang, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's kind of ruled himself out of anywhere but Spain, it seems like, because he wants to go there for the lifestyle.
And his wife is Spanish.
And he's not going to, I mean, is he going to break into that Barcelona trio? Don't think so.
No way. Interesting you say that, because Griezmann gave an interview earlier in the week, Martin, where he talked about no one's breaking into that front three at Barcelona. However, another football club that's in for a massive summer, and has said that Barcelona's not a realistic option. So obviously, between Paul Scholes has come out tonight and said that Griezmann should be a very realistic option for United. United should go after him. There's to and fro in between Griezmann and Manchester United at the moment over money, over certain personal terms. It's not agreed in terms of the deal. United are confident that they'll get there, but Griezmann rightfully is not throwing himself at United and trying to make him play a bit hard to get. So I still think that deal will go through. I still think United will sign him this summer, but I think the word that was used is they're at a bit of an impasse, but I would expect that United will make that happen.
I think we're at the same. I think we're at the same position that we were at with Pogba, about the same stage. It's the will he, won't he stage, and I think if it's done, I think it's already done. These are the things that are probably coming out now to kind of throw water on it a little bit and just cool it while the season's still going on. And there's still trophies to play for. But I expect that to be a deal. I mean, he's not going to, let's be honest, he's not going, he said the German league doesn't attract him. He said the French league, not a chance. He said in Spain, it'd be very difficult to break into that front three, so that's not an option. At Barcelona, Real Madrid, he can't go and play for because he currently plays for Atletico. So, I mean, he did say the weather in England. I mean, that was the one drawback of that interview. But is that going to be,
I know that City sniffed around him. He's not interested. I know there may be some things that make it into the paper, make it into different websites about some curtain going on between the two. But from what I've been told, Griezmann isn't interested in City. Martin, I want to talk about Barcelona for a minute because much like the situation at Arsenal, Luis Enrique is pretty much a goner, finished at Barcelona. Marca in Spain done a poll tonight where they asked Barcelona fans who they'd want to take over that football club. The number one choice out of 40,000 fans voting was Jorge Sampaoli from Sevilla, who's had an excellent season. Luis Enrique got 10% of the vote. So it's Barcelona fans want Luis Enrique out. And when you look at his signings, Martin, Andre Gomes got slaughtered, right? Now, Andre Gomes cost Barcelona 35 million quid. On top of which, Digne not getting in the first team. Paco Alcacer not getting in the first team. Silesen not getting in the first team. Denis Suarez not getting in the first team. Umtiti getting in the first team. Most of the signings this summer not featuring. And Andre Gomes is getting in ahead of Rakitic, who's a very, very popular player for Barcelona fans. It would seem certain that Luis Enrique's finished at Barcelona.
The thing that's surprising for me with Luis Enrique, he's changed the style of play at Barcelona. He seems to have fallen in love with, with that front three and how dominant that front three are. It seems that he's gone to a style, and this was prevalent to me in that game against PSG the other day, where he's almost bypassing the midfield now. It's get the ball to that front three as quick as possible, and then let them go to work. So you've not got, you're not getting the guys on the ball now. In that midfield, the guys who make it tick for Barcelona, they're not on the ball. And look, those front three are going to score goals wherever they go and whoever they play against. But if you can't keep them out at the other end and getting overrun midfield constantly, that's a problem. And PSG exposed them so badly the other day.
And so now Barcelona have a problem where they're struggling to find the money, Martin. When you're talking about Messi, Suarez, and Neymar, they take up so much of your budget. They're struggling to find the money just to give them the contracts they need to keep them. So now you have to spend money somewhere else. Where are Barcelona finding the money to continue to strengthen the squad, and who are they going to buy? They've just spent I think it was 9 million on a young Colombian, €9 million on a young Colombian defender. His name is Yerry Mina, and he'll join in January of next year. January next year.
18
after he finishes a couple of Palmeiras. But I'd say to that, I think maybe that's the type of players that Barcelona are going to be signing. Look, they're always going to spend big money, but I think you're not going to see, like if you look at the signings this summer, Digne, Alcacer, the players that we just said, they're not really Galactico signings. I think that's what you're going to see this summer. And when you look at Sampaoli, Martin, obviously he's a fan vote, but Sampaoli would be a guy that would be brought in to get the best out of what they have.
Yeah, and going away from this new mold of ex-players coming into the role and being expected to do a job. I think it's time for them to look elsewhere, and again, they're going to have to start changing their style of play again, because that tiki-taka got found out a little bit. He's now gone a little bit more direct, and they're leaving themselves very, very exposed. So that Barcelona defense and that deep line midfield role is not as strong as it was. So big changes there.
Real Madrid heavily linked with young Dybala, superb young player over the course at Juventus. Top strikers hard to find, Martin, hard to get. Sergio Aguero will be thrown into the mix, of course, this summer. Won't go to Real Madrid. Almost did go to Real Madrid when he left Atletico Madrid. Left Atletico Madrid on very bad terms. So I don't see him going back. Are people talking about Aguero going back to Atletico Madrid to replace Griezmann? I don't see it happening, as he left on really bad terms. But Dybala is a guy that Real Madrid seem to want. According to the Spanish press, Mark, have written a story about, as I mentioned earlier, about him flirting with Real Madrid on social media. Already come out and said that this is a club we want to go to. Dybala would be a perfect signing for them. What a player he is, Martin.
He's a great player, but I mean, like I said, I still think Aubameyang's a more realistic target for them. I think that and I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't see them being able to bring two top strikers in, especially with the players they have there now. I mean, if those two players are going to come in, or even if the one player, I mean, if one player comes in, Benzema's gone for sure. But does James stay? I mean,
well, we'll get to him next.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're looking for a striker, if they're looking for a number 9, Dybala, Aubameyang, it's got to be one of those two. If it's both, then there's 2 or 3 people going out.
Well, James Rodriguez has just started his first game since January 4th against Napoli, and he was excellent. He's been in and out of Zidane's team. I don't think Zidane particularly rates him that highly. I think he thinks he's a good player, but not an exceptional player. James Rodriguez is desperate to stay at Real Madrid. His agent offered him everywhere last season. United were offered him. He was offered up to most of the top clubs last season. And I think if someone had to come in for him last summer for Real Madrid and put 60 million on the table, Real Madrid would put your hand off for it, and James Rodriguez would have left. I believe James Rodriguez is grossly overrated. He had a good World Cup. Monaco spent a fortune on him. Real Madrid spent a fortune on him off the back of that World Cup.
We've seen a lot of that.
He's a good player, but not a great player.
No, he's that. I wouldn't even say he's in that second tier after that very, very elite level.
You wouldn't?
Player.
I would say second tier.
I would say if he's second tier, it's the lower end of that second tier. I think he's a little bit limited in the positions he's going to play. See, the problem with Real Madrid, he's not a 9. Can he play in the 10? I mean, the problem is going to be when Ronaldo's now losing his pace a little bit, he's coming from a little deeper. So the game's kind of evolving for Real Madrid.
Who would you say, give me an English equivalent in the Premier League of James Rodriguez? Jack Wilson?
I'm trying to think of a good number. I mean, he really is a 10, isn't he?
Aaron Ramsey?
He plays no better than that. He's better than Aaron Ramsey. He's got more goals in him. He's got to be an attacking midfield. There you go. That'd be a good level.
So he's essentially a Colombian Ozil.
But the thing with Ozil only shows up.
That's your words, not mine.
Ozil to me only shows up when Arsenal play well. Ozil's not the type of player who's going to drag Arsenal out of a game that they're playing poorly in, and that was proved again the other day. I think James is a little bit better. I think he's got a little bit more about him, but I mean, if he isn't that second tier player, he's more on the bottom. But I don't see him playing. I just don't see him getting the amount of time he's going to want at Real Madrid. I don't think he's an elite club player. I mean, he's not. He needs to get out of there. I mean,
talk about lazy journalism, Martin. When Mesut Ozil was like United, when Juan Mata is struggling to get into United's team and keep Mourinho's confidence because he doesn't track back, Mesut Ozil is the worst player in the Premier League for any type of defensive discipline. Anyone that remembers his time at Real Madrid will remember that he was the most sub player. Mourinho, 60 minutes, Ozil off every week. Mesut Ozil is at the perfect football club for a soft footballer that wants to do a couple of silky skills, go home, take his 150 grand a week, have no pressure to win anything, no pressure to improve.
I'll tell you some of the looking back on that game, just to backtrack a little bit against Bayern, watching him stand around and watch. I wouldn't let my high school boys. They'd never play for me again.
But clearly they've no respect for Wenger, Martin.
No respect for Wenger, no respect for the football club.
Yeah, this is what happens when you're. This is what happens when you're overly loyal to your players. Yeah. The other situation, which is bizarre for me in Spain. So I didn't know that you could sign a player outside the January transfer window from another Spanish club in Spain. So Barcelona are looking to sign young Eibar's left back, Ander Kappa. Alex Vidal has fractured his ankle. And apparently the rules in Spain say that you can sign a player if he's either out of contract or if he's coming from another club in La Liga. So Ander Kappa looks like he's going to go sign for Barcelona. Martin, another one that slipped under the radar this week was young Cáceres. Well, not young Cáceres, but 29-year-old Cáceres of Southampton. Given all it's outside the transfer window, I think that's a really shrewd piece of business.
I tell you what,
considering what's available.
That is a fantastic signing. I think that is a boy who's going to come in. Like you said, that slipped way under the radar. Wasn't blown out there in the press too much. It was kind of in the subtext. Oh, and by the way, it's a very, very good piece of business. And let's see what he does. In the physicality of the league. But I think that's a very good signing. I think that's a good piece of business.
The other thing, not quite transfer related, that making big news in Spain, Real Madrid could be ready to dump Adidas for Under Armour. So the contract's up in 2020. Under Armour, of course, the big fans of Donald Trump. The Spanish press have said that that Under Armour are making a big bid to take over Real Madrid's manufacturing of the kit, offering them the biggest deal in world football. They haven't said what those numbers are, but they have published a report that Under Armour are looking to replace Adidas as Real Madrid's kit manufacturer in 2020. So
yeah, obviously with me being a coach over here, I mean, Under Armour's really been growing here, and that there's to grow to the next level, you make a big splash. And if you've got the money, there's only one way to go about it, right? And that's throw the big bucks. And let's be honest, any of these big clubs, they don't care who's right here.
Nope.
It's all the dollar signs, isn't it? I mean, highest bidder.
Lastly, Martin, young Dominik Solanke, who's a young player at Chelsea. Both the Daily Mirror and the Sun saying that he will go to Liverpool this summer. Young English lad, right up Jurgen Klopp's street of signing young talent. And some people say he's a bit like Daniel Sturridge, which to me seems like a cheap comparison because it's a lazy one. So we'll see what happens there. Mate, anything else for us before we go?
Yeah, I got a couple here for you.
Go ahead.
Speaking about Spurs, the Express reporting Dele Alli. Now, will Dele Alli be there in the coming years? I don't know what his contract situation is, but I mean,
Have me this summer.
There is going to be big offers, I think, and then you may well be seeing the big offers from the big clubs, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, Manchester City. Reported from the Express saying they're going to break the bank and a world record bid may be imminent to sign Dele Alli.
I'll tell you something, Martin, on Dele Alli. The next 24 months is crucial for Dele Alli because if there's one thing that's blighted English talent, it's the fact that it doesn't mature into the consistent world-class talent that it should. And we've seen this time and time again. I mean, we only need to look at people like Rooney and Phil Jones, right? Will Dele Alli develop, Jack Wilshere, another one we just talked about, will Dele Alli develop into that world-class football player? And can you do it in the Premier League? Into that world-class player that his talent suggests he could be. Big decisions to make for both him and Tottenham, because I think if you're Dele Alli, you look at Tottenham, if you don't win a trophy or come close to winning the Premier League in the next 2 years, you have a big decision to make. You cannot stay at Tottenham if you want to win trophies. And it's the same for Harry Kane, Martin.
Yeah, totally agree. I think maybe not even 2 years. I'm thinking maybe a year, and then not only
after the World Cup,
maybe Dele Alli's looking, but maybe Spurs will be looking to cash in, because if he does develop or continues to develop at the rate he's developed since his move from MK Dons, he's a wonderful talent, an absolutely superb player on his day. On the Spurs,
but just before you finish that, if Dele Alli goes, Martin, Pochettino will go.
Well, you're sending a statement there. If Dele Alli goes, you're sending a statement that you can't keep your best players. And Pochettino goes, then Kane goes as well. On the Spurs thing as well, I mean, Zaha linked to Spurs in the Express also. Pending, I mean, if Crystal Palace go down, you can't see Zaha that's staying in the Championship. Whether that one, a little less likely for me.
Mate, have you read Breda Hangeland's story on Will Zaha? You have to see this. First of all, Breda Hangeland was asked a question about who's the laziest player he ever worked with. And he said, Will Zaha. He said, Will Zaha has everything. He will come into training, do a couple of press-ups and want to go home, right? And he has no work ethic. The other one, he said, Emmanuel Adebayor. was the other one. He goes, Adebayor was being paid by Palace, being paid by Spurs, being paid by Man City, and wouldn't train and sat there drinking coffee.
Hey, mate, that's a good gig if you can get it.
Absolutely. Getting paid by 3 clubs, sitting drinking tea and won't train. Superb stuff. He wouldn't train at Palace. But another example, Martin, of a talented young player without the right attitude.
Yeah. So in the press we've got Dele Alli from Spurs, we've got Zaha from Spurs, and Spurs are going to be certainly going to be monitoring Tony Martial's situation at United, because we know that they are certainly interested in Martial. Should he be on the fringes? But I don't think he is. I think we're starting to see Martial when he plays back to back here. He looks the part.
You were saying about Dele Alli moving, that would be a statement. If Martial left United and went to Spurs, that would be a concession for Martial that he doesn't have what it takes to make it at the top, and he wants to play for a Tottenham where he's not going to be where what he is right now will be tolerated. It's okay. You can turn up some weeks you don't have to.
Yeah, the reason I don't see Martial going. United have banked heavily on the progression and the talent of Anthony Martial.
Yep.
The massive amount of investment at
such a him then, Martin.
And it certainly is. And like you said, that's a statement from United. If they're willing to let him go, then there's something not right behind the scenes, and better off. But that's all I got.
Okay. Listen, folks, keep subscribing. We're going to be giving away BTP hats, t-shirts, all that for all of you who are subscribing. Thank you so much. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Best way you can help us. I think it'll probably be next week we'll start giving these away. We've got loads of stuff, so with beanies and all this here. Thank you so much to all of you for the support. You can just subscribe to the channel, follow me, follow Martin, follow me at Malakans, Martin at MWallwork7, or the show at Beyond the Pitch. Thank you so much, folks. Thanks for all your comments, and we will catch you on next show tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Friday.
Right, folks. All the best. Martino. See you later, mate.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.